Hi, I'm Jeff Walters, and welcome to The Minutes. And thanks for listening today. It's great to have you along on The Minutes for the week of February the 26th, 2024. This is a City of Thunder Bay podcast. The Minutes takes a look at what happened at Thunder Bay City Council this past week. On this episode, we'll have a rundown of what happened at a shorter agenda council meeting on Monday, and an interview with Planning Manager Devon McCloskey. There's a lot of talk about housing in Thunder Bay and right across Canada, so we'll talk about how planning can make it easier to build more homes and places to live here in Thunder Bay. But first, Council voted to rezone a piece of property on North Waterloo Street. The land was zoned as partly industrial and commercial, and the rezoning would make all of the land commercial. The proposal is to build a strip mall on the land. It's next to another strip mall. And another piece of property had its uses expanded. A former tire garage on May Street will now be able to have a business that will allow for auto repairs, painting, and coating of vehicles. The current zone and bylaw has auto body shops directed to industrial zones. In this application on May Street, the applicant says only a small portion of the garage would be used for painting. Administration recommended rezoning all of the properties. Council approved a resolution to petition the federal government, asking it to reconsider its cap on international student permits. The cap was put in place to ease the national housing crisis and impact on the healthcare system. In a memo to Council from the chair of the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, Council heard how a cap on international students would have a financial impact on both Lakehead University and Confederation College. International students in Thunder Bay also make up a large portion of the workforce of the service industry. The resolution asks the federal government to take a measured approach to any cap on students, including consultation with communities, colleges, and universities. Council approved the purchase of a new pumper truck for Thunder Bay Fire Rescue. The custom-built fire truck is worth $1.4 million and will be built by Fort Garry Fire Trucks. The company was the one bidder on a tender that closed in November. Thunder Bay Fire Rescue keeps pumper trucks on the front line for 15 years and then moves them to reserve status for another 5 years. The truck this pumper will replace is 21 years old and it's deteriorating. The new pumper will also produce fewer greenhouse gas emissions. And that's a wrap as to what happened at Council this week. For more information on anything that happens at Council, please visit our website, thunderbay.ca/council. We hear a lot about housing. It's a priority for both the federal and provincial governments to get more housing, especially multi-unit housing like apartments built here in Thunder Bay. There was a public meeting about zoning on Monday night, not necessarily about housing, but how does zoning and housing and everything all tie together for development in our city? Devon McCloskey is the Manager of Planning here in Thunder Bay, and she can explain how this all ties together. Devon, thanks for joining me here in the Minute Studio.
Hi, Jeff. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in today. So Monday night, there was a public meeting for some zoning bylaw amendments. I know this wasn't about housing, but these public meetings come up quite often at Council. So why do we have these?
Public input is a really important and necessary component of any effective planning exercise. It's essential that residents of Thunder Bay are made aware of various planning initiatives and proposals, and they're given a fair opportunity to express their views on these matters. So we provide notice well in advance per the legislation, and we provide an opportunity for people to appear before council to provide their views on concerns that they may have.
So can you give me an example of maybe when we'd have to have some planning things come to council and we won't? Because I know not every change that we have for planning is brought to council.
That's a great question. So I can answer that by explaining that we have something called as of right. It's an expression that's used meaning that no planning approvals would be required. So it's already sought the appropriate planning approvals through an updated zoning bylaw or an official plan policy. And somebody would be able to just come in with a development proposal and proceed straight to a building permit.
Okay, so green light all the way.
That's right.
And then there's a lot of things that don't get green lighted all the way. So what's something that maybe wouldn't see the green light?
I guess a good example would be an application for housing. Perhaps whether there's circumstances about a property that, provide all of the appropriate amenity, parking, and so forth. But they are looking, they're seeking a reduced frontage, for example. So our minimum current frontage requirement for a single and for duplexes as well is 10 meters. So we do see applications where people are coming in to ask for perhaps a 9.5 meter frontage. And in that situation, they would be proceeding with a minor variance, going straight to the Committee of Adjustment for an approval. We give notice of those to the adjacent neighborhood within 60 meters and ask for their comments. And then we evaluate that proposal, and planners provide a recommendation to the Committee of Adjustment.
And the Committee of Adjustment makes the final decision in the end.
That's right.
Okay. So we have this new zoning bylaw. It was passed, a year or two ago now. How has this changed development in Thunder Bay?
Generally speaking, the new zoning bylaw has made many of the developments that we had been seeing more permissible. So the reduced frontages to 10 meters has provided for more opportunity for housing development to take place. We allowed for an as-of-right 3 units per lot on a 15-meter lot. We created a new urban low-rise zone, and we are now allowing for backyard homes, additional dwelling units in places where they were previously never allowed. And we've also relaxed the commercial hierarchy across the city.
So this makes it easier to build, essentially.
That's right. So as-of-right development is there for people so that they don't need to proceed with planning approvals, present in front of council or the Committee of Adjustment, and potentially face the process of appeals if there is opposition to their application.
So lots of talk about housing in Thunder Bay, housing right across the country. How does zoning change how and where homes can be built?
Zones contain rules and regulations that control present and future land uses, including what can be built on property and where. Zoning contains density standards for a lot's minimum frontage and area coverage. It also contains minimums and maximums for location and height requirements for building and setbacks. Land use planning is very important. It's recognized as one of the most important policy instruments in Canada. It truly has the ability to shape the way that our neighborhoods look and feel.
Yeah. So why would we have zoning? What's the purpose of it? You said look and feel to a neighborhood, but if we didn't have zoning, what would it look like?
Essentially, zoning implements our official plan. So our official plan is a provincially approved document. It also implements priorities of the province, and zoning comes into play to do those things. Planning affects more than just land. It affects how people live and move within their community. Good planning can create growth. It can create a strong tax base. It can lead a city into the future. Council's decisions have significant consequences to determine how the city develops and grows.
So when it comes to development and planning and that sort of thing, can that influence, building of homes and that sort of thing? I'm asking it that way because we're hearing that so much from the provincial and federal governments.
It certainly can. If you've got over stringent regulatory procedures, it can be an impediment to development. It can present barriers to development, whether it's time or cost. So having flexible zoning, having zoning that truly can incent as well how development would proceed is very important. It can have far-reaching implications on urban sprawl and intensification, the vibrancy of commercial and core areas, affordable housing, transportation, its natural environment, or quality of life.
So when I kind of alluded to those federal and provincial programs that we've heard a bit about, there's been a fair amount of attention on them. Have we seen any impact on building yet in Thunder Bay with the announcement of some of those programs?
We're happy to say that we are reaching our target that was established by the province. That's been out in the media already. It's stating that we've actually overachieved. So we're at 124% of the target that was assigned for 2023. We are anticipating some funding to be provided to us out of having reached that target. We do intend, as per the government's requirement, we will have to put together an investment strategy. Their criteria is to follow, and those funds will be spent on providing for more housing. So whether it's infrastructure or incentives, all of that is still to be developed. We have also applied to the Housing Accelerator Fund. And that fund, if we receive the dollars that we've applied for, would support affordable housing, multiple units, and adding or missing middle attainable housing. It would be encouraged to develop housing that's on existing infrastructure, along major transit routes, and so we're excited to hear the outcome of that.
I've got one term that you use there, and I just want to clarify what it is because I don't quite get it. The missing middle. What is the missing middle of housing?
That is, it's a term that's come to be used more frequently. The missing middle, it can be a localized term. For Thunder Bay, we know that the missing middle it can be apartments. There's a greater need for that kind of affordable or attainable type of housing. It can also be the smaller single detached within existing residential areas. So it's been identified that type of housing is in very, very high demand. So it's typically the housing that's in the highest demand.
So that would be things like like apartments, as you said, maybe some backyard homes. Not that they're necessarily in demand, but that would be a kind of housing that would be kind of missing from what we have right now.
I would say backyard homes are not in high demand. We would certainly like to see more of them because we believe that they would be achieving some intensification targets. So they would be providing for more housing on existing properties. Missing middle really has to do with just the provision of the principal dwellings on the property.
Okay, and then just to clarify too, the funding that you spoke about there, that's all provincial dollars. That's what we're going, or that's what the housing target has to do with right now is the provincial dollars.
The housing target, yes, the BFF fund, Building Faster Fund, is provincial dollars. The other one,
the federal one, we're waiting to hear what's going on.
That's right, and that's the HAF, so the Housing Accelerator Fund, and it's a CMHC federal initiative.
Devon, appreciate you coming in today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's Devon McCloskey. She is the manager of planning here in Thunder Bay, and she joined me in the Minutes studio. A big thanks for listening to the Minutes this week. Of course, if you want more information about City Council, agendas, or minutes, just visit our website, thunderbay.ca/council. Of course, if you want more information about City Council, agendas, or minutes, just visit our website, thunderbay.ca/council. And if you want to listen to past episodes or maybe provide some feedback, visit thunderbay.ca/theminutes. You can also find the Minutes wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Google, and Amazon podcasts, along with Spotify, plus our website as well. I'm Jeff Walters. Thanks for listening this week. We'll chat again next week. Make it a great day.